Recording and about to go live. What's going on, golf addicts? It's the Tour Junkies podcast for the Vivint Houston Open. I'm David Barnett, your host. My lovely co-host is Pat H. Perry. He's got his hair slicked back tonight. He's looking dapper. He's got a collared shirt on. He's looking fine, like wine.
Took a little shower before the show. I like to take a shower before the show. Helps me kind of just, get refreshed. I'm wearing a dog shirt this week. Big Georgia-Florida game this weekend that I have zero confidence that Georgia can win. But that's neither here nor there.
We're here to, give the people a reprieve from politics mainly.
Yes.
Thank God that hopefully will be over very soon. And we can all just get back to just not being offended by everything and just living our lives. You know what I mean? Pretty pumped about that, but we're here to talk some golf. We're here to talk the Houston Open. We got the Masters coming. The poor Houston Open every year. It's just, it's just always the one right before Masters that everybody's trying to get through. However, an interesting field this week for sure. We'll get into that in just a minute, but obviously, I said it last week on the podcast that long shot season would get back on the track for last week's Bermuda Championship after Patrick Cantlay won the Zozo at a short number. I was like, I feel like it's coming. Long shot season is coming. Little did we know it would come from like 500 to 1 PGA Tour journeyman, 48-year-old Brian Gay beat Wyndham Clark in a playoff. He'd missed, I think, his previous like 13 of 14 cuts. He looks like Brian Gay is an interesting cat. I am about to be 37 here in December, and some would say I dress kind of young, maybe too young for my age at times. Brian Gay really takes the cake in that department. He really takes the cake. And he's also a tiny little man, which I think for whatever reason in my mind makes it worse when you do that. If you're really tiny,
he does that to like make up for shortcomings.
Maybe that's what it is. He's an interesting cat. His wife is interesting. Famously went off on a bunch of people on Twitter a couple years ago and threatened to get her attorney involved for like slandering Brian Gay. Really fun fact I discovered today, actually, that Brian Gay's mother, not mother-in-law, Margaret Gay, owns a lingerie shop in Augusta. Literally a 9-iron from the Augusta National called Mimi's something boutique or something like that. It's like a lingerie and bra shop for women.
How did you even find that out?
Well, I work with a girl who worked at the Augusta National for many, many years. And she knows a little bit about golf, and I told her Brian Gay once. She said, "Oh, Brian Gay used to rent my best friend's house whenever he would make it to the Masters. And did you know his mom lives here and owns Mimi's whatever?" And I'm like, what is that? She's like, "It's like a lingerie shop right by the National." And I was like, I did not know that. So then I gave it a little Google. And boy, Mimi's a bad businesswoman. The Google reviews on Mimi's bra and lingerie shop or whatever in Augusta are not good. She's pissed off a lot of ladies.
Yeah, I looked at it too. I was taken aback, you might say, by the negative comments on the business.
Yeah. So. I also learned how to pronounce bustier today because I was reading my friend at work one of the reviews, and the girl said bustier and I said bustier because she was talking about her boobs. I'm thinking bust. So I said something about a bustier, and she's like, a bustier? And I was like, I don't know.
Bustier.
Tomato. What do you want me to do?
You were bringing out your inner Pat with that one.
But yeah. Man. Brian Gay. Golly. I mean, like, he's got full status now. Like, he's going to be everywhere. Just missing cuts.
And he was
what? But good for him. Like, it is. Huh?
He was 250 to 1.
I think he was more than that. I think he was like 500 to 1, 400 to 1. He was long. But good for him for winning on a track that, like, he has to win on. Now, I read something that he'd kind of bulked up He's kind of gone Bryson model and Orgain and all that, so he's been kind of bulking, and he hits it a little further now than he ever has, which everybody does. But still, he's a really short hitter, and like good for him for, showing up at a place that he had a chance to win, licking his chops and getting it done. So Brian Gay, man. Brian Gay. Another massive announcement came out today. Bryson DeChambeau officially inks a deal with DraftKings as the first sponsored PGA Tour member by a fantasy or betting, well, probably I guess fantasy site, because there's like BetMGM, right? Or like Jason Kokrak's MGM.
Yeah, I mean, well, don't forget our friend Willie Wilcox got a DK deal, but
Yeah,
that was he had kind of partial
deal.
Status, and it was kind of a deal. I don't think he had any deal to wear the logo and stuff, which is what you're going to see from Bryson apparently next week at the Masters.
Rocking the DraftKings logo on the grounds of Augusta National. Pretty insane to think about how far we have come. I feel like we've grown up with DraftKings, and as we've grown, the golf offering at DraftKings has grown. We started at the same time. And now look at them, and I would like to take some credit. I mean, I feel like the Tour Junkies should take some credit for this move. And in some ways, it pisses me off that our greatness has elevated DraftKings to the point that they can pay enough to get Bryson to sign this deal. It almost irritates me a little bit. Like I would have loved for him to sign with FanDuel or something else, but it's the cross we bear, and good for us. I mean, I say good for us. And honestly, I think Bryson owes us a little. He owes us a beverage or something one of these days. Yeah, man, it's going to be weird to see him. Of course, he also released, after we recorded last week, he released his screaming 208 video where he screamed like, God,
just like a primal scream, because before he just launched the ball. And then he also warned, he told the camera guy, get out the way, because I don't want to hurt you. I think he said I don't want to kill you, but it may have been hurt. I don't know, but
I think he said hurt.
But either way, it's Bryson continues to give you some good stuff, good content for you.
Yeah.
But
any other hot takes by you, Pat, right now? I mean, I feel like you're kind of coming out of the gates stalling a little bit. Like you're distracted or something. Are you distracted? Are you looking at something?
No, I'm good. I'm good. This is kind of like I am the week before the Masters, though. It's like I'm not quite. I'm looking forward to the next week.
All right. Well, podcast juice tonight for me is obviously Wild Leap. Got me some good Wild Leap going. Yeah, there we go. You might need to have take a swig out of that bad boy.
Yeah, I need to get. Let's.
Well,
let's take 2 swigs.
Thing. Okay, hold on.
Much better.
Also, speaking of Masters, got my patrons online shop access today, man. Been going bananas. Get ready, people. Like we're probably going to buy a few things in the shop to give away to some folks. So pay attention on the Masters episodes. We'll have ways that you can win some 2020 Masters swag straight out of the patron shop. Pretty pumped about that. I've been shopping on it literally all day long. I've built up a massive cart. Massive for me. We're not, I'm not being racist here. I'm just saying, like, I'm not an Asian at the Masters, because Asians at the Masters spend a butt ton of money, a lot of money. Godspeed to them. Good for them. I usually see them and I'm like, man, I'm jealous of whatever credit limit that person may or may not have, or it may just be cash. They may just have straight up cash. But every time they are embarrassing me in terms of the items they purchase. And it's not to that level, but it's up there. There's some 2020 stuff that I think is just interesting because of the year. It's just a weird year. And then there's some seasonal stuff. You want you a good Masters really winter coat. You can get that Masters with like a Santa gnome on it.
Yeah, I think that's interesting.
All that.
They always have like a Christmas ornament or something, don't they?
Yeah, they have a couple Christmas ornaments.
I never really look at that stuff.
I don't either.
This year, I'll probably, like, if I go on there, I would look at it in more detail because you don't have all these people around you just, going crazy. Like you have time to like actually like sift through it all. I'm sure there's less than they normally have. I don't know. I haven't looked yet.
No, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on there. It's everything. But honestly, there's a lot of repeat stuff. There's a lot of repeat stuff, but there is some really nice 2020 stuff. That's pretty cool. Speaking of Masters, let's talk Masters content for the Tour Junkies. We're going to have a huge week. Can't wait for it. It sucks that the patrons can't be there. It sucks that it's in our backyard and we can't be there and we can't be together doing the crazy stuff we do every single Masters week. Hopefully that comes back around in April. But nonetheless, I actually think you'll get more content out of us because we can't be here partying it up with all the locals. We're going to have two different podcasts. We're going to have a betting podcast where we're going to go over all the books that we're looking at, all the odds, all the matchups, the outrights, that kind of stuff. We're going to have obviously the DFS podcast and fantasy podcast. We will have all the written content, 10 facts, chalk bomb, fantasy golf sommelier, betting card, pivot points is coming back. All that good stuff is coming. And then I'm pretty sure, obviously, we'll have our Wednesday night Nut Hut, which will be popping. That'll be so fun. The Nut Hut has been amazing lately. You are getting so much value out of the Nut Hut right now. But we're going to have that. I'm pretty sure we're even going to do some more stuff on Wednesday, maybe live video stuff, live chat kind of stuff, possibly a cut sweat show on Friday, potentially. Don't know. Some of that stuff's up in the air, but it's going to be a great week. Hoping to have a special guest on one of the podcasts, if not both, maybe for the Masters. And those podcasts should hit earlier. Hope to have them out Sunday or Monday morning when you wake up at the latest, but hope to have them Sunday. So cue that up and get ready because I'm pumped for it. All right, Pat.
I totally agree. And all of the stuff you mentioned, I think will be fun. I like the cut sweat show idea. I hadn't really thought of that.
Could be fun.
By the way, did I get darker? Because my wife came and just shut the room light off, and I'm still waiting on her to come back and turn it on. I don't know why. She just didn't realize I was up here like I am every single Monday night. I don't know. So all I have is the ring light.
Well, the ring light, I think you're okay. I think you're okay right now. You look fine. Pat, I think that's all I got. You got anything else? Masters stuff? Definitely going to have a good contest.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just disappointed that it's not going to be like normal, but we're going to make the best of it. And
yeah,
I think we're going to have some good content. So I'm excited about it. And hopefully Bryson doesn't win. So there you go. Those are my thoughts.
Oh, if you're watching live, go ahead and click the thumbs up button on YouTube if you don't mind. Subscribe to the channel as well if you haven't done that already. And I did forget to mention this. We still are looking for some voicemails. We've got some voicemails. But they're not – some of you guys are kind of weird. So they're not all amazing. But so I'd love to have more to choose from. So call the hotline. Let me see here. It is, let's see, what's the number? 706-6-ADDICT is the number. 706-6-ADDICT. Somebody give me that number real quick. Wait a minute. I got it. It's 706-623-3428. 706-623-3428 is the number. That's the TJ hotline. Leave us a voicemail, and well, hopefully, if it's good enough, we'll get you on the show. And the voicemail, anything about the Masters. You can ask us a question about betting on the Masters, DFS, anything related to next week in the Masters, going to the Masters, working at the Masters, caddying at the Masters, growing up at the whatever, favorite Masters moment, anything you want to ask, throw it out there as long as it's relevant to the Masters show next week. So 706-623-3428. Actually, you need to get it in by this week. Like, get it in by like Saturday. Get it to us by Saturday. We'd love to have some good listener voicemails on the show for the Masters. Be good stuff. If you do that, if you get a good one and it's like on the show and it's like actually decent, maybe we'll send you something. I don't know. I'm not making any promises though. Pat, let's get into this. We're going to have a good show. We're going to talk through the golf course, which is a brand new golf course, and we're going to talk through our thoughts, and then we're going to give some DFS thoughts, and then we're going to give some betting thoughts, and that's it for the night. We're going to wrap it up there, save some strength, save some energy. No DB Bryson rant at the end. I will spare everyone from that. I've been doing that for the last couple of weeks. So I'll kindly bow out there. Definitely want to thank fantasynational.com for the stats, the information, the optimizers, the models, all the good stuff for golf. If you need a one-stop shop for golf stats, optimizers, all that stuff that I just talked about, ownership projections, build your models, all that kind of stuff, Fantasy National gets all the information straight from the PGA Tour. It's tip-top stuff. Really good. If you go to fantasynational.com/TJ, you can save 20% off any membership level that you select, weekly, monthly, or annually. You can try it for a week. If you go, man, I love this, you can change it to a year, and you still get the 20% off the annual membership as well. Super easy to use. We've been using it for like 3 or 4 years now. It's awesome. It's truly a one-stop shop for any golf betting, fantasy golf, whatever you do. You can get it all at fantasynational.com/TJ. Or you can put in promo code Tour Junkies and they ask you where you heard about it. But make sure you get that 20% off when you do it. All the stats, all the details there coming straight from Fantasy National. All right, Pat, Memorial Park Golf Course. What in tarnation is this golf course about?
Hey, look, the Vivint Houston Open is bringing the heat this week, I think, with the golf course. I think Memorial Park is a great place to have it. It is a municipal course, which I love when we get on muni courses. It's playing as a par 72, just over 7,400 yards. We got another full field event this week. You got Bermuda grass, tee to green. And this is, it's a pretty flat kind of parkland property. The course was actually opened in 1912, so got a lot of history here. But Tom Doak redesigned this course with some help from a player in the field. Would you guess who that player is?
Is his name Brooks Koepka?
It rhymes with that, yes. Brooks Koepka helped with the redesign, which I thought was pretty incredible. I didn't really know that he dabbled in that at all, or why he would have been asked. But anyway, you got a lot of slopes on this course as far as the greens are concerned. I meant to say contours around these greens. They're going to be playing pretty quick. I do think scrambling is going to be key this week if you do miss the greens. I'm hearing the rough is pretty thick, but the fairways are not, that narrow. So I think the rough can be penal, but you also are probably going to have a better chance of hitting these fairways with them being as wide as they are. I've heard as well, this tends to favor a kind of a right to left ball flight out here on this course with a lot of the holes they have here. They've got a lot of rain lately, so I think it's going to play pretty soft. One of the things I think you got to do this week, we mentioned the Nut Hut. Pay attention in the Nut Hut or get in the Nut Hut on Wednesday it doesn't have to be Wednesday because we'll put up caddy info whenever we get it. We're gonna be getting more caddy info from this course during the week, so I think that's going to be important. But as far as stats, I'm definitely looking at form, always looking at strokes gained approach. I mentioned scrambling, I think is one that you want to look at. Putting on Bermuda, kind of a long-term form there. And then par 5 scoring. There are actually 5 par 5s again this week. We had that a few weeks ago. Was that Shadow Creek or was it Sherwood? One of them had 5 par 5s.
Zozo.
So I think par 5 scoring is something you're going to want to look at as well. The defending champ is Lanto Griffin. Of course, that was on a different course, so it doesn't really matter. But there you go. Those are my quick thoughts on Memorial Park Golf Course. I think it's going to be a fun one to watch. And it's not
Did you say that there's only like 20 bunkers? Did you say
that?
Yeah,
I meant to say that. 19 bunkers on this course, actually. They're like, you just don't see them anywhere. And they're mostly around the greens. Brooks Koepka basically said, look, bunkers don't really come into play for tour players off the tee, so it's like we're not even going to worry about it. We're just going to put them around the greens.
Leave it to Brooks to say that. Yeah, we've got a little intel from somebody on there that just says, listen, this is a full Bermuda course and the greens are goofy. That's the quote we have so far. So
I
whatever.
think that is
We'll get more info.
referring to the slopiness and contour of these greens.
Yeah. And we know that they're fast too. We know they want to. We know they want to get them up to like a 12 or so on the stimp meter. So I agree with you, man. I think that scrambling strokes gain around the green kind of play is something I'm looking at. With these runoffs, with these tiers, and slopey greens for sure. I think that's something to look at. I'm kind of looking at strokes gained off the tee. Strokes gained approach is obviously number one, because if these things are slopey, and you got to hit them on the right levels, you got to land on the right spots. But par 5 scoring for sure is a big deal. There was some there were some early thoughts on this course that it was going to play to a par 71. That is not true. The tour released the official scorecard today, and it is a par 72. Number one was thinking to be a par 4, but they made it a par 5.
Yeah, a lot of people assumed it was going to be the par 4, but it's not. So that's why you have 5 this week. And that looks like number one out of the gates is a birdie hole for sure.
Yeah. This is going to be the weather, I think, too, looks pretty good right now. I mean, the only defense for a course like this is going to be if the wind picks up in Texas. It's kind of, I think overall it's kind of flat. The greens aren't, but I think overall it's kind of flat. There's a little bit of water on the course. But I mean, this is going to be a birdie fest for sure with 5 par 5. So you need guys that can score. You need guys that can take advantage of those par 5s. It's going to be interesting. I mean, new course since 1963, new course. But, the storyline too is you got guys, you have 132 players, a few less players. That's something we should mention. So still T65 and ties, but only 132 players, not 144 or whatever like we normally see. And 36 of these 132 players are playing Augusta next week. Now, you also have guys like Dustin Johnson coming off of the COVID rest. He's obviously your favorite to win. He's at the top of the betting board. He's at the top of DraftKings at $11,500. We haven't seen him since the U.S. Open because of COVID. He was supposed to play, I think he was supposed to play CJ Cup. And ended up having to sit out CJ Cup and Zozo. So, what are your thoughts on, because I think this is an interesting year. Obviously that's like the understatement of the decade. Because there's been these like some of these tournaments, these like short field events like CJ Cup and Zozo, and then Bermuda, which is normally an opposite field event, and it's all the way in Bermuda. Like, I think guys that didn't play or qualify for CJ Cup and Zozo and didn't want to go play Bermuda, that typically wouldn't play the week before Augusta, are playing here. And then you got guys like DJ. I just think there's a lot of guys in here that are trying to, I would anticipate, especially some of the big names, are trying to find a little form, shake a little rust off. But truthfully, that somewhere in the back of their mind, they're going to be thinking of Augusta. Whereas typically in a normal year, they don't have to play this event to do that. They've already had ample opportunity in full field events prior to Houston to be able to do that. And then they can kind of take that week off and rest. But there's been a lot less opportunity to do that. So they're not going to say that in a press conference. Somebody's going to ask them, are you thinking ahead to next year or to next week at Augusta? And they're going to go, no, I'm here at the Houston Open. If I tee it up, I'm here to win the golf tournament. I'm thinking about just the next shot. But give me a break. Like you're not. You're trying to find a little something. I think there's some guys that are trying to do that, and they may find it quickly or they may not. Or we hear great players talk about trying to peak for majors, which I've never understood what in God's name that means. Like, I don't know what that means, but like maybe they're here and it's just they're not all here. Did you think through that when you were kind of making selections? Because I did. I have a couple of names that I kind of go, I think I'll stay away. See,
I have some names that I think you were thinking of staying away from that I will actually play. We see guys like DJ and Brooks they like to play the week before before majors in general. And so I think you are seeing them want to find some form. I definitely think they want to win. I don't think they want to, just bail out on Friday and miss the cut and get to Augusta. I really don't believe that. So, and in finding form, that means getting in contention. I think if you're trying to find form, you're not just like trying to, hang out and make the cut or whatever. You're actually trying to get into contention and feel that pressure. So I think that's important for some of these guys and why they like to play the week before a major. And otherwise they wouldn't be playing. I do agree. I think your assessment is kind of right. I do think some of them, do say the right things like, oh yeah, I'm teeing it up and trying to win. But look, these guys are competitive by nature anyway. They're playing in an individual sport where the only thing you want to do is win. And so I think that's something you can look at, but it wasn't a major decisioning factor for me when I was looking at guys this week to play. And there's only a few of them in the field that I think you could even make that assessment on, to be honest. I mean, other than nobody below 9K, you could even say that's what they're just trying to find form or whatever. Even Phil Mickelson. I mean, everybody knows he just sucks right now anyway.
Okay. So 2 out of the last 3 Masters, DJ has not played the week before. He did play the week before in 2016 at the Shell Houston Open. He finished 3rd and then finished 4th in the Masters the very next week. Brooks does typically, I think, like to play the week before the majors for sure. So let's talk about.
I think DJ. I said majors. I didn't just say Masters. I think DJ.
I know. I just looked at the Masters. But even some of the majors, he hasn't done it either. He's kind of been like 50-50. So he doesn't do it every time. I thought he always liked to play like the week, like FedEx St. Jude, like the week before the U.S. Open. I thought that was something DJ. I could be. Yeah. Anyway. Like I said, it's like 50-50. He does play like the St. Jude. Cause I think he. Is he sponsored? No. Anyway, it's like 50-50 when you kind of look at some of these previous majors over the last few years. It's kind of hit or miss. I do know
my answer is kind of a non-answer. It's like the political season here. Like I'm going to answer it in a way of, yeah, I think you have a point, but no, it didn't necessarily like come into play on my decision making as far as guys that I like this week. It's just I'm going with sort of some of the same factors I look at.
Well, for me, like when I look at the top of this board, I'm not interested, and this is not my official fade. I'll give you another fade, but I'm not interested in paying $11.5 for post-COVID DJ.
Me either.
He checks all the boxes for sure, and he is, he's obviously a stud, and his form is incredible. But we last saw him like 6-7 weeks ago at the U.S. Open, and he's coming off of old Corvid. So I think that's a pretty simple fade. Brooks is interesting because he, spoke into the redesign of this golf course, which is definitely going to be a narrative. And then, we hadn't had a chance to talk about this, but his amazing, Q&A session with Jenna, his girlfriend, on Instagram last week made a lot of waves on the social media streets.
Yeah,
it started on the golf course that he was playing golf. She was in the golf cart, and they did this super long Q&A. It was like 40 questions on Insta stories. It started on the golf course, ended in the bedroom.
I watched the whole damn thing, and it wasted so much time of my life. That was the downside of the Nut Hut. Somebody brought it up in the Nut Hut, so I went and freaking watched it, and it just like, I don't know.
Well, people are going to talk about how well he was playing that evening by himself. I've already heard a little bit of chatter. He was like 5 under through 7 or something like that. I don't know. He was hitting it great. And just to see Brooks playing golf by himself when he didn't have to seems very off brand for him. Like typically he always talks about when he's not playing in a tournament, he doesn't like touching clubs. He practices and he has like a minimum that he has to, and that's it. Like he always acts like he doesn't really enjoy playing golf outside of tournament golf. And then to see him like out there playing and having a good time playing well, you got people talking about it. Plus you got the narrative of, of being a designer here. I think Brooks is for sure coming here. Yes, does he typically do this the week before the major? Yes, but I think his goal here is let me figure out what I got to tighten up before Thursday of next week. I think that's the plan. So for me, I'm going to stay away from basically the top of this board. So I'll start it off with 3 tournament plays. I'll give you a cash play that I like if you're playing double ups or 50-50s in DFS, and then I'll give you another fade. I'm gonna give you a bunch of bonus fades tonight.
Yeah, you're like fading left and right.
I love so let me tell you this too, because this year is so weird. I kind of like guys that aren't playing next week because I feel like they come here and the sole focus is this week is the Houston Open, and the FedEx Cup points that you need in the fall so that you don't start January too far behind, and you got a good opportunity on a new course where people who've been playing here forever don't have an edge on. Like I kind of like guys that aren't playing next week. And Victor Hovland at 9,800, I think he may be popular, but he will actually be chalk I'm willing to eat here. Love the ball striking ability, the strokes gained approach numbers on Hovland. He's 9th in this field in par 5 scoring over the last 24 rounds. The scrambling worries me a little bit. I mean, it's improved, but it's not great. That worries me a little bit. But the plan is he's so good off the tee as well. I see him in a lot of fairways, and I don't see him missing a lot of greens. These greens are kind of big. We didn't really talk about it. They're big. So I don't know. I feel like Hovland's iron game is so good, and I love the price at 9,800. He's chalk I'll eat, and I think he will be chalky. Then I'm going to skip to a couple guys that are playing next week. Sung J M and Sergio Garcia in the lower 9s. Like both of these guys.
Whoa.
Yes. Yeah. Sung J, love the form, love his performance on Bermuda. And I think Sung J is one of those that's just going to grind. I mean, his first Masters is next week. I think he's going to, it's kind of the opposite narrative of what I just said, but I just feel good about Sung J at 9,300. He's 3rd in this field in strokes gained approach, 4th in strokes gained off the tee over the last 24 rounds. Like Hovland, the weakest part of the game would definitely be, kind of around the greens if that happens. But when you look at Bermuda specifically, strokes gained around the green, he's actually pretty good. He's in the top 25% of his field in strokes gained around the green on Bermuda. So Sung J loved Bermuda. He loved Bermuda a long time. He really does. So
you mentioned also he putts well in Bermuda also.
He does.
Yeah.
He does. Now Sergio, I can't imagine Sergio being too chalky. I could be wrong, but I feel like he's not. 9,100. If the wind picks up here in Houston, I could see him. He's a good wind player, good ball striker. We saw him win the Sanderson Farms just a couple of weeks ago. His best putting surface is Bermuda. And he checks all the boxes over the last 24 rounds. I mean, he even with a couple of missed cuts in there, the U.S. Open, the Safeway, I think Sergio is an interesting tournament play. I don't love it in cash. I wouldn't play him in cash, but I do think he's an interesting tournament play if he does, in fact, end up being a little lower owned. Now, my cash play is pretty simple, and it is another player who is not playing at Augusta National next week, and that's Russell Henley. Not many guys on the PGA Tour are striking their golf ball better than Russell Henley, really since the restart. I mean, the form is impeccable. A 4th at the Zozo, a 3rd at the CJ Cup. And despite some of the putting woes that have really just kept him from winning, his best surface is Bermuda. And the price is so good. It's so juicy. I think Hovland and Henley will eat up some ownership, and I just don't know that I care. I think I will play it regardless. And, I love both of those guys. Now, officially, if I'm going to make another – why would I do this? No, I'm not going to give you another fade. You're gonna have to wait. You have to get in the nut hut for that. My fades are Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka. Those are my 2
You've
fades.
already.
I should have only given you 1, but I gave you 2.
I can't even believe some of the fact that you've got 3 of my 5 plays here. Didn't think you'd go Sergio, which is one of my GPP plays. I love him for all the reasons that you said you liked him as well. And he has some Texas roots. Now, obviously, we know he's from Spain, but his wife is a Texas girl. I believe he lives in Texas now. I could be wrong. So who knows? Maybe he's had some experience on this course. I don't know. But, I think it's kind of a natural place for him to be. He may even live outside of Houston. I could be. I don't know.
Who are you talking about? Sergio?
Sergio.
I do think he's in Texas. I can't remember. Or man, no, he's in Florida. I don't know.
His wife is a Texas girl, but anyway. So I do like some Sergio at 9,100. I'm with you on Sung J M. He was another one at 9,300. My cash play was Russell Henley. So obviously we're on the same page with two of the three GPP plays and the cash play, but I actually like playing Brooks Koepka in GPPs this week. I think he makes sense. I think the ownership is going to be low for him. I do not think he's just there to show up to be there. I think he wants to play well this week. You look at the stats for him. He's, top 5 in the field in approach, ball striking. He putts well. He's one of the better putters on Bermuda in this over 10K range outside of Terrell Hatton. Checks the box and opportunities gained. So I like Brooks. And I think you'll get lower ownership because people just think he's probably going to check out and we've seen, not great recent form from him. So I will play him at 10-6. I'm fine with that. And my fade is, I agree with DJ on the fade, but I didn't want to put that one out there because I thought it was a little bit too easy. So I'll go with Adam Scott at 9,200. He's another guy that's coming off the COVID. First event back here after that. But he's not really checking any boxes for me. He's 107th in this field in the Bermuda grass and putting on Bermuda. 67th in opportunities gained, doesn't check the box in par 5 scoring or approach right now. So I'm going to avoid Adam Scott. I don't think he'd probably be low owned. I don't think a lot of people are going to even play him anyway, but he is a fade for me. And I don't, the form.
Well, as you said, terrible on Bermuda, and he's only played 4 times since the restart. He is one of those that we've not seen a lot of since. We've probably seen less of him than anyone else in this field.
Yeah. So
since the restart.
We were going to see him more, obviously, until he had the positive test. But so there you go. So a lot of agreement here, but then a lot of disagreement at the top.
By the way, while we're up here, we're going to have to take a quick detour here because there's a couple names up here that I found some props that I want to throw out there for free. And these are props that anyone actually listening to this could get action on, not just people who live in states where it's legal to bet on sports books, because Thrive Fantasy is something that has been brought to our attention. The Thrive Fantasy app, you can go to thrivefantasy.com. You can come prop up for Thrive Fantasy here for the Houston Open. They are a daily fantasy sports and esports app for player props. It's kind of interesting. So what they do is they give you 10 player props, individual players, and they tell you like, okay, over under on birdies made or pars made, or over under he's going to shoot this, or over under on how many eagles, whatever. They give you these props on 10 guys. You pick 5 props that you like the best. And depending on the over under or the side that you take, you get fantasy points for that side. And then you're playing in a contest against other people, and the points are what puts you up on the leaderboard there and determine your payout. It's kind of an interesting game. It's like a hybrid between props betting on a sports book and like DraftKings DFS or whatever. But you don't have to get it perfect in a lineup. So they got these new contests, and they have contests for each round, and they have contests for the tournament. And in fact, they've given us our very own contest, Pat, which is pretty cool. There's a free roll on Thrive Fantasy right now, a free roll. That means you don't have to pay anything to enter it. That when you go to thrivefantasy.com and you look at the golf, the golf offering there is I think it's for round one on Thursday. There's a free roll up to, I think it's $1,000 prize pool. So free money, and you don't have to pay anything to enter. You just pick it, you just click on it. It says Tour Junkies free roll. It's going to ask you for a password. The password is Tour, all uppercase. TOUR, all uppercase is the password. And you can submit an entry there and potentially win money without having to do anything. And when you sign up, use promo code TOUR. So when you create your account, use promo code TOUR, and you can get up to $100 instant deposit match on your first deposit. So you can download Thrive Fantasy on the App Store or the Google Play Store or whatever, or go to thrivefantasy.com and sign up today. And there are a couple names we talked about that I like in the contest, in the free roll that I like. So Dustin Johnson, round one, over under 69.5 in terms of his score for round one. Now, I know I just mentioned, post-COVID DJ, but with 5 par 5s, if he shoots 3 under, I hit. The under, you get more points for. You get 110 points for the under. You get 90 for the over. I think I like the under there for DJ to shoot at least 3 under on Thursday. I mean, yes, I think I don't want to pay up for him in terms of other, betting markets or DFS, but I mean, 69 out of DJ, I think I like on round one. And then this is a risky biscuit pick here. Our boy Brooks Koepka, round one, over under half an eagle. So is he going to make 1 eagle on round one? And the odds on favorite there, you get less points if you take the under. He's not going to make any eagles. But you get 150 points, which is a lot when you look at the thing. You get 150 points if he makes 1 eagle. And I think, again, 5 par 5s. You give Brooks a chance to make 1 eagle. It's a risk. That's not the odds-on favorite thing to happen, but I'm going to take it. So those are a couple big names that we talked about here that I like. Go to thrivefantasy.com or check out the Thrive Fantasy app. Sign up using promo code TOUR and get in the Tour Junkies free roll. Password is TOUR, all uppercase. There you go.
One thing I'll add that I think is really cool about what
they
do.
Detour. See what I did there? Yep.
Is they allow you, so you have the 5 prop bets that you put down, but then they also allow you 2 ice picks. They call them ice picks, which is in case of emergency. So if you, unlike on DraftKings, if you got a guy that just withdraws like pre-tournament or something like that, and you just lose the points. In this case, you can pick 2 other props that will fill in case something happens. Like, for instance, Jason Day has a prop of 4.5 total eagles and birdies. If you take that as one of your 5 and Jason Day withdraws for some reason, then you can plug in your ice pick, your in case of emergency pick. I think that's kind of cool as well.
That is nice. I like that. All right. Well, let's keep it rolling here. Let's look at the 8K range we're looking at DraftKings right now. A lot of good names here in the 8K range. Lots of good names. I like a handful of names here. Obviously, you mentioned we got defending champ Lonto Griffin, who continues to play very, very well. And I'll just go ahead and get it out of the way. Lonto's my fade here. I don't want to play $8,900 first time ever defending champ Lonto. I just think there's a little bit of a narrative there. When you have a young player defending as a champion his very first time, there's a little extra obligation there, a little extra pressure there, even though it's on a different course. I know he's been playing very well at the CJ Cup and at Zozo. He does have a missed cut there at the Shriners, but it's kind of weird too. Like he doesn't check a lot of boxes. Like if you look over the last 24 rounds, he doesn't really do a whole lot in terms of ball striking. He's a good iron player. He loses strokes off the tee almost every week, and that's been the case since the restart. Since the restart, he's lost more strokes off the tee than he's gained in tournaments. And now what he does do well is he hits his irons well. He's very good, a very good iron player, and he makes up for it. But when you look at his really good finishes, he has amazing weeks putting, like the last 2 weeks, where he gained 6.5 strokes on the putting surface at Zozo and 6.7 at Shadow Creek. That's a lot. That's a lot of strokes. His last 20 rounds, he's averaged less than a stroke gained putting. So like that's like 6-7 times what he averages over his last 20 rounds with the flat stick. he's done in the last 2. So you got to figure a little regression there for Lanto, and I don't like the $8,900 price tag. I like Lanto as a player, and I mean, I don't know what his odds are. I don't have him written down, but maybe his odds are a little more attractive in the betting market. But I don't like him at 8,900 on DraftKings. So he is my fade. There's a number of names in here I like, and I think it's for people who listen to the show regularly, you probably know who some of these players are that I do like. But I'll try to give you the more contrarian plays. God, I can't stop looking at Cameron Davis's name. I just love him. All right, tournament play. I like James Hahn at $8,000, and I think James is gonna be. I think he's gonna be owned. I don't think he's gonna be super chalk, but I think he's gonna be owned. His best putting surface is Bermuda if you look over the last 50 rounds, best putting surface is Bermuda. He's coming off of 3 consecutive top 10s. T5 at the Shriners, T6 at Corrales, T9 at Safeway. Checks all the boxes in terms of ball striking. I mean, 8,000. James Hahn is an interesting GPP leverage play. Not playing Augusta National next week. Oh, man, I can't quit looking at his name. God dang it. All right, and then I'm going to go with little cockbite, Brian Harman. Cockbite is his nickname. Earned that in college. That's a fact. That is real news, not fake news. Brian Harman's nickname is Cockbite in college. I'm going to play Brian Harman at 8,500. Great par 5 score. I talked him up a couple weeks ago. He continues to just do solid golf. He's just a man doing some solid golf. That's what he's a solid golfing man right now. At 8,500, always a great putter. Despite being a little bitty cockbite, always scores on par 5s really well. Good scrambler. Yeah, I mean, why not play Brian Harman? Good form. 8,500. I'll take him. We all know who my cash play is here. If you've been listening, you know. I cannot stop Cameron Davis. The sweet swinging, tall drink of water Australian. Aussies play well in the wind. If it gets windy, I love him. Par 5 scoring. He is an animal, people. An absolute animal. He's a tyrant on par 5s. He will devour these par 5s. He will make these par 5s his yatch. You know what I mean? Like, he is all over the par 5s. I love it. He's a good scrambler. He bombs the piss out of it. He's in good form. The only thing that sucks about Cameron Davis is he doesn't like Bermuda. But, I mean, give me a break. I don't care. He's actually now that's – yeah. He doesn't like putting on Bermuda. He's actually pretty good chipping out of Bermuda. And normally I don't look at that, but I do think these are going to be interesting greens to get up and down around, if you miss them. And chipping on Bermuda, if you've not done it before, it's not always the easiest. So there you go. I'm going Harman and Hahn in tournaments, Davis and Cash, and wherever else you want to play him. And Lanto is the fade.
Okay. Well, lots of disagreement here. Well, I wouldn't say disagreement because I don't mind your plays at all. I like the Cam Davis play. I think he's also a good bet this week. I've seen him at, I think, 70-1. You may have already mentioned that. And I missed
Lanto at 70-1?
Did I just say Lanto or Cam? No, I said Cam Davis.
Oh, yeah. Cam Davis. Yeah. Love that.
Yeah. I actually like Lanto, though, in GPPs. So he was the first player that I wrote down at 8,900. Look, he's in good form. We know that. His approach game is good for this course. He putts well in Bermuda, checks the box and opportunities gained. So I do like Lanto this week. And I don't know, a lot of people tend to fade the previous champ, even though this week's on a different course. I don't think his ownership's going to be that high, but I still like him. I just like the way he's trending, so I will play him. I will go to my cash play, which you might be able to guess is Mr. Zach Johnson, who you bashed me for the last time I took him. But look, I mean, the guy's playing well. I mean, you can't deny it.
Yeah, he's playing good.
He's playing well despite the price. I mean, if you're playing him in cash, he is the perfect player right there to put you in there and give you a balanced lineup. If you also look at the stats, he's 4th in approach. He's 26 in ball striking.
So much rather have Cam, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's your opinion. I don't mind Cam. I think I'd rather play Cam in tournaments. But
oh, no, you got to play Zach in tournaments. He's going to be like nothing owned.
I don't
Why would you
care. I
wanna
just
play?
want a guy that I know is going to make a cut for sure, and it's checks the
Well,
boxes.
then you
That's what
want to
I'm
play
kind of.
Zach in cash and in tournament. If you like
Well,
Zach enough to play him in cash, then
yeah,
you
I'm
would
going to play him
have
in
to play
tournaments
Zach in
too. I'm
tournament.
not making that point. I wasn't saying that. I'm just saying I like him in cash. I think Cam Davis could miss a cut and just like completely F your cash lineups. I don't
Fake
think Zach Johnson.
news. Fake news. I'm not believing that. I will throw a brick through somebody's window if Cam Davis misses the cut.
Okay. I don't
I
think
will
you should
I
do
will
that.
make a
You shouldn't be
Molotov
violent.
cocktail. I will make a Molotov cocktail out of this Wild Leap bottle if Cam Davis misses the cut, and I will throw it through somebody on Twitter's window. I'll go drive to their house in another state and throw it in their window.
Okay. I don't know if you need to be violent like that.
Maybe the state is Kentucky. That's all I'm saying. That's all. I'm not going any further than that. I'm not going any further than that.
All right. Either way, I like some ZJ this week. I am going to play some Jordan Spieth at 8,400.
Oh,
I know
God.
you probably wanted him cheaper. The stats don't really show up for him, but I'm feeling a good week out of him. It's kind of like Doug Gim last week. You hated me for taking Doug Gim. You couldn't stand it,
Damn
but he
it.
finished.
Why would you bring up Doug Gim right now? Why would you bring him up right now? It's too
Because
late in the show for you to bring up Doug Gim. If you
Okay.
wanted to bring up Doug Gim, you should have brought him up in the recap when I was talking about Brian
I
Gay's
forgot
mom
about it.
and
I
her
wasn't
lingerie
paying
shop.
attention. Wasn't paying attention. I just popped in my head. And look, I'm going to play Jordan Spieth because I want to. I want to
Good
play him
call
this
on
week.
Doug Gim last week, by the way. Great
Thank
call.
you.
I missed it. You nailed it.
Anyway, I just want to play. And Jordan's going to be, look, if you look at the last full field events that he's played in, not the CJ Cup or the Zozo or whatever, he's less than 5% owned. I mean, look, he's an amazing scrambler. We know that. I mean, he still does that well out of anything. So I think that Jordan Spieth could be a good play. And I don't mind 8,400 for him. I'm sure everybody wanted him to be like 7,200 or whatever in this field. That's not going to happen. So I will play him as well. And my fade is going to be
because they know they can raise the price on him, and simps like you will play him.
Whatever. Anyway, I'm going to fade Stuart Sink, who I've loved. I've loved Stuart Sink, and he's been playing pretty well. But I think everybody's going to know that, and they're going to look at that and say 8,000. Okay, I think he's a guy that's he's making cuts. He's playing well. He just won. I'll be interested to see where the ownership is. So I'm going to fade some Stuart Sink there at 8,000. So there you go. I think Lonto was the easy fade to call. I think that's like one where you just got lazy a little bit and you said, I don't really want to fade anybody in here. I'm just going to take the highest price guy. So I'm going to fade him. That's what I think. It's a good drink.
Okay, well, you start the 7K. I got to go get more ice. And I think by the end of the sportsbook picks, I might be in a good spot.
Okay, well, I will definitely start the 7K, and I'm going to start with Denny McCarthy at 7,900. Another guy we've seen in good recent form. Definitely checks a lot of boxes. You look at strokes gained approach. You look at ball striking. You look at par 5 scoring, where he is 6th in the field. He is number 1 in the field in strokes gained putting on Bermuda grass. So I think Denny makes a whole lot of sense this week. And look, we've seen him play obviously extremely well. I had a T4 last week with a great finishing round. 57th in the CJ Cup, not great, but then a T6 at Sanderson Farms. So I like some Denny McCarthy at 7,900. I will play a good amount of him. And then Sam Burns at 7,500. I like him as well. He's had, you look at his last 3 events. He's had a T28 at Corrales, missed the cut at Sanderson Farms, but then a T34 at the Shriners. And then looking at the stats for Sam, he is, let's see, he's 5th in the field in ball striking, 2nd off the tee, 26 in par 5 scoring. He's 18th in opportunities gained, and 2nd behind Denny McCarthy in putting on Bermuda. I like Sam Burns as another GPP play. I will definitely have some ownership there. And then another guy that was kind of I don't want to say a DFS darling, but he was definitely a Tour Junkies darling early in the year before COVID effed everything up. At the very bottom here at 7,000, Matthew Naismith, I like him a lot this week. He's a guy that, Southern guy, grew up on a lot of Bermuda greens, great as far as his approach game, good ball striker. And we've seen his game trending in a good direction lately. And people just haven't really been talking about him. But he was 44th at Corral, 41st at Corrales. He was 17th at Sanderson Farms, then improved even more at the Shriners with the T8. So I think Matthew Naismith could be a great GPP play this week. So at 7,000, I like him. My cash play will be Emiliano Grillo. I like him at 7,900. Is that right? Am I quoting that price right? I was guessing. Yeah, 7,900. He has made 9 straight cuts on the PGA Tour. That's pretty damn good. And he is definitely checking. He is definitely, you look at the stats for him, they check out as well. So I am a big fan. I mean, he's literally in the top 10 in the field in almost every single stat that I'm looking at, other than scrambling and putting.
Never going to be
ignore that because I still think he's going to be a good play for your cash lineups. And then
don't have to scramble when you hit the greens that he hits. He hits a lot of greens.
And then my fade is going to be Charlie Hoffman. Poor Charlie.
Poor Charlie.
7,400. Don't like him this week. He's 87th in the field around the greens. He's not really showing that much as far as, he's 54th in par 5 scoring, 57th in strokes gained putting on Bermuda. I just don't like Hoffman. And it's kind of like, as much as I want to play Spieth because he's sort of I got a good feeling about him. Hoffman's just all over the place for me. I mean, Annie killed me last week, so I'm off on Hoffman this week. So there you go. Denny McCarthy, Burns, Naismith, GPPs, Grillo Cash, fade Hoffman.
Let me tell you something. DFS contests are going to be won and lost in the 7K and 6K range here this week.
I literally thought that same thing when I was looking at this. I agree.
Yeah, they're going to be won or lost here. This is where the rubber meets the road, people. This is where this is where it happens. You know what I mean? This is a very important range. There are many names in here that I like. There are some names in here that I don't like. This is where it's won or lost. And Pat, I have a number of ways I could go here. And I'll let you decide. This is like when you're reading the storybook and you get to pick which route you want to go. Does little Tommy take the fork in the road on the left with the little unicorn over here? Does little Tommy go over here and follow his wiener, just point him in that certain direction because there's a hot maiden over here at the end of this street? You get to pick which end of the story you want to do. So do you want kind of like safe DB, double bagging it on prom night DB, like double wrapping it, triple wrapping it DB, or do you want to let your nuts hang a little bit in the GPP category in the 7K range? I'll let you decide which route we're taking.
We're definitely going nuts hang route.
Okay.
Because that's what I tend to try to do most of the time. I don't always have the stats to back up my picks, and some of them are gut feels, and that's just the way I like to roll.
Okay.
So I want you going with some gut, but letting the nuts hang a little bit. That's what I want for DB this week.
I'm glad you said that. You want to take a walk on the wild side. You know what I mean? You want to get a little walk on the wild side.
As a matter of fact, while you're doing that, I'm gonna increase the intake here. Yeah.
Because anybody can tell you about Emiliano Grillo. And I know you just said him, but good job.
That was cash play.
Anybody can talk to you about Denny McCarthy. Also, good job. Anybody can talk to you about those guys. But I got to give you some names that I think could give you significant leverage in tournaments. Now, these are names with very low floors, but high ceilings, if you know what I mean. If you catch what I'm saying. And I'll start with a guy who is playing in the Masters next week. A guy who is playing in the Masters. And a guy who, we talk about letting him hang. This man's balls are probably down to his ankles by now, because I hear that the older you get, Pat, you can probably testify to this. The older you get, the more they droop. They get real droopy. And Lee Westwood's balls are probably smacking him around like hitting his shoelace. His shoelaces get wrapped up in his nuts. He's so old. But
I don't mind that.
dang,
I don't mind that. I like where you're going. Preach it, DB. Come on.
If Lee ain't hitting his golf ball right now, you know what I mean? And if you hadn't been paying attention to the European tour, then you just haven't seen it. My man is killing it over in European. You know what I mean? On the European tour, he is crushing it. Top 30s, top 20s, top 10s, all the above. He wants to come over here in the States. He got his Corvid, he's got his Corvid on. He quarantined from the Corvid, and now he's ready to ball out. And I think Westwood, give me ball striking Lee Westwood, and this man is gonna do it. So I love some Lee Westwood. That's the first one. Dylan Fratelli, the South African.
You're going with Dylan this week.
I'm gonna go with Dylan. 11th.
I never get Dylan right. I never get him right.
I don't either. That's why we're letting him hang though a little bit. 11th at the Zozo. His best putting surface is Bermuda. Gain strokes off the tee. Decent scrambler. Okay. If you look over,
saying his best surface is Bermuda is kind of a stretch because he's not a very good putter on any surface. But yeah, but you're letting the nuts hang. So that's
saying he's a good chipper on Bermuda. He's 10th in this field over the last 50 rounds in strokes gained around the green on Bermuda surfaces. He's also played for the University of Texas, which is the state that Houston is in. How you like them apples? Dylan Fratelli is a dark horse in this field. So I think Dylan is live in the DraftKings GPPs. Now, it would be really easy for me to continue to work down the DraftKings board and give you, names like Sepp Straka, that Austrian bad boy, that Austrian thick bad boy that played at UGA that I love and that I danced with at the Kisner Foundation event along with Bryce Garnett. It would be easy to give you Sepp Straka at 7,000. That'd be too easy. It'd be maybe easy to give you Harry Higgs, a thick American
I thought boy. You might go that round. I thought you were going to
with some chest cheddar hanging out of his collar. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. You asked for DB nuts hang DB, and I'm going with a man who he speaks funny and lives in Texas, and his name is Matthew Jones, and he speaks funny because he's from Australia, mate, and he lives in Texas. Which you know what that means? That means this mother was born in windy conditions. If this thing gets windy, Matt Jones is there. If it doesn't get windy, guess what? He's still there. Guess what? His best putting surface over his PGA Tour career is Bermuda. He just finished 4th at the Bermuda, by the way. Kills it on par 5s. Good par 5 score. Like me, some Matt Jones as a pivot play down here at 72 hunch around guys like Adam Schenk, around guys like Sepp Straka, who I like. I think Matt Jones will give you a little bit of ownership leverage there. Cash, I play a lot of guys here in cash. Officially, I wrote down Denny McCarthy, who you mentioned. And then my fade is Phil. Poor Phil. I mean, Phil is just, he's good at strokes gained beating up old farts. If there was a strokes gain on beating up old farts, he can do that on the Champions Tour, but he ain't doing jack on the PGA Tour. He's not even, do you know that gaining, if you look at the last 24 rounds, this is insane. Are you ready for this? Phil Mickelson, over the last 24 rounds on the PGA Tour, he is 124th out of 132 in this field in strokes gained off the tee. Do you know how hard that is for him to do? Because, yes, strokes gained off the tee does take into account accuracy, which we all know Phil is not accurate. But it takes into greater account distance, which he is good at. And he still bombs it. He still hits bombs. That shows you how erratic Phil Mickelson has been off the tee. It's bad. It's really bad. And you can't come close to returning enough value in DFS at $7,500 if you can't keep it on the planet. So Phil is my fave.
Yeah,
Was
I
that
don't
big
mind.
balls enough for you there, Patrick?
I think that was big balls enough for me. I mean, look, Phil, I think that is maybe not as big balls as the other ones were,
The Phil fade was a little weak. It was a little weak.
but yeah, I'm still with you, and I
Give me
like the
Josh.
plays. I can't argue with any of them. I mean, I think they're all there.
You
I
damn
mean, I
right.
love some Westwood. I really like Westwood for the Masters. I can't remember what are his
Same.
odds. Well, we'll have to look at the odds later for that, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm with you there.
Okay.
There's a few other guys in here too that I could mention, but
there's a ton of guys in here. This is why you need to read all the articles on tourjunkies.com. This is why you need to join the Nut Hut, because me and Pat were actually just talking about this. The Nut Hut is one of those places where you will ask us about every name in the field. Every name in the field. Hell, Brian Gay got brought up last week in the Nut Hut. I mean, do you think I was prepared to answer a question about Brian? Do you think I was prepared to answer a question about Brian Gay in the Nut Hut last week?
As you hold up a Wild Leap vodka bottle?
This is what happens in the Nut Hut. So all the names are going to be, somebody's going to be like, hey, what about this guy? So there are other names in here I like. There are other names I don't like. But
yeah,
there are other names in here. We can't cover them all on the podcast.
No, we can't. But we'll talk about them in the Nut Hut chat for sure. And look, every name's going to get brought up, and it's not always going to be, we're not going to get them all right. But anyway.
All right. 6K, what you got? My face is starting to get numb. This is going to be a good show.
Yeah, I'm going to start with a guy that we've also seen in pretty good recent form, and that is Austin Cook at 6,900. Finished second place in his last start at the Shriners Open. Austin Cook. He's a kind of a shortest kind of guy.
He's like a cockbite. He's like a cockbite.
He's like Kip Henley used to caddy for him. He got fired.
Yeah.
But anyway, checks the box and opportunities gained. Proprietary stat, by the way, by Fantasy National. Great stat that kind of gives you a look
proprietary.
at giving yourself some chances at birdies. 38th in ball striking, 38th also in strokes gained approach. I like Austin Cook, 6,900. I will play him. I like Tom Hoge, another guy that's been in good recent form. You look at his last few starts, old Hoge, I mean, that guy, he's made his last 4 cuts with a top. He was T47 at the Zozo, T38 CJ, no cut events, but T24 at the Shriners. Yeah.
Dang. I like Hoge.
T28 at the Sanderson Farms. Also, he is looking good from a stat standpoint, too. He is 6th in the field in opportunities gained. Top half of the field in ball striking, par 5 scoring, 28th in the field in approach. So I like Hoge at 6,700. Just be quiet until I finish this round or this range, and then you can talk. And then,
you're talking to me?
Yeah. And then at 6,400, I'm going to sprinkle in a little Robbie Shelton.
F you, man. F you. Yeah. F you in the A.
That's what's going to happen there because I like him. You look at his approach game, his around the green, par 5 scoring. Look, old Robbie Shelton, and you get him at 6,400. He's made his last 2 cuts with a T34 at the Shriners, T21 at the CJ Cup. I'm a fan.
Man.
Yeah.
Those are my 3. Remember when I hit him 150-1 first round leader at the Greenbrier in 2019?
Yeah. So did I take any of your guys from you?
Yeah. Who'd you say again? Hoge, Shelton, and who?
Austin Cook.
No, you didn't take Austin Cook. All right. I'm going to continue to let him hang a little bit because that's what you got to do here in the 6K range. I think this is a very important range as well. I was on him last week. He finished 26th. I'm going to go with your boy, big ass visor Bo Hostler. I mean, he's doing his thing.
Yeah, he did his thing for me last week.
He's doing his thing. Now, the irons aren't great, but he makes up for it off the tee, makes up for it around the greens. He still scores on par 5s. He's actually 16th in this field, which is that's saying something. In the last 24 rounds, 16th in this field in strokes gained par 5 scoring. I like Bo Hostler. He's another Texas boy not playing in the Masters next week. Now, a man who is playing in the Masters next week who wears funny hats and no one wanted to win the Masters when he won is Charles.
Oh, gosh. I had a feeling you might.
Schwartzel. Yeah. I kind of like Charles. which is weird. I normally don't like Charles, but I have a feeling in my middle about Charles. He's great around the green, solid ball striking, solid par 5. Nothing flashy, but solid. Okay. Form, okay. It's okay. Bermuda, yes. Checks the box in Bermuda. Putts well on it, chips well on it. And I like it at 6,700. We haven't seen him since the Shriners. I don't know. I got a feeling about
You got a feeling in your plums.
In my plums. I feel
You
it
got
deep
in
in
your
my
plums
plums.
about some. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know if I feel it about Charles, but I do feel it about other people, but not Charles. I do like Robbie Shelton. I have Robbie Shelton written down. There's some high value guys down here. Now, I had Robbie, but now I'm gonna go one more lower. I'm gonna go 6,300 at John.
Huh?
John is 6,300. Best surface in terms of putting has been Bermuda over the last 50 rounds. He is checking the box in strokes gained approach, 15th in the field over the last 24 rounds, and pretty like top 30% of the field in every key category that I'm looking at when you look over the last 24 rounds. And he's not doing anything super flashy. 19th at the Shriners is his best finish in a long time. However, he's been making cuts. He's made 2, 4, 6 of his last 7 cuts since the beginning of October. That's not terrible.
I mean, that's not bad at all for a guy at
6,300. He is 6,300. It's not likely that he makes a cut, but he is 6,300. So I'll stop there. But I do like your Hoagie pick and your Shelton pick as well. So I think key decisions to be made here in the 7K and 6K range.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is the money-making range, more so the 7K range than the 6K range. But if you get them right here, you get some good guys that are low-owned, you will win a GPP this week.
You will.
And we hope that you'll be thanking us, maybe adding us on Twitter or something.
I want to be added by you.
Please add us, but in a positive way.
Me. Yeah, in a positive. Please positively at me, America.
The Wild Leap hits DB late. I feel like with you, like the Wild Leap, it starts out like good with you, but it's like it's literally the title of the vodka is very apropos. Is maybe the word. Apropos is the word. I don't know, but it's like you take a wild leap, but it takes a while to get to that leap. Like at first it just hits. It's like you're all calm and collective, and then you're wild and you're leaping. So that's what happens with the Wild Leap vodka.
Dude, I'm trying to Google apropos and I can't even type it enough. I can't even type it good enough to get Google to recognize it. Oh, here we go. Oh, there's an S in there? Mother F. There's an S in apropos, which is the definition is being both relevant and opportune. Relevant and opportune.
So I was using that correctly.
You were, yeah. No, I knew you were. I just wanted to see how it was spelled. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the sportsbook side of things.
Yeah.
Let's look at some early odds.
Good stuff here.
Early odds. Let me just tell you, if you're listening to us on Monday night or early on Tuesday, I would highly recommend if any of these jump out to you and you want to get on that, you need to get on that because we have noticed in the last few weeks, these numbers that we throw out get shorter and shorter as the weeks go on. As the week goes on. And so by the time you get to tournament lock, guys that were 100 to 1 are now 70 to 1. Guys that were 50 to 1 are 35 to 1. And listen, if you hear nothing else I say tonight, other than I feel John Huh in my plums, hear this. Life is too short. Dramatic pause. To bet favorites in golf. Okay? Life is too short for that. It just is. So bet these boys. Bet these boys. These young men, some of them young, before they get too short. And I don't mean in stature. I mean by their odds.
I agree. It was a very dramatic way of saying it, but I agree with what you just said. And I will say, a lot of the from the books that we look at, I'm seeing right now DraftKings Sportsbook a little bit better odds than our friends at PointsBet.
Yeah, I'm seeing it too. Right now.
But that's just right now. It could change. And for me, I'll start.
Which sucks because we don't have a promo code for DraftKings. We have promo codes for PointsBet. What the are they doing?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the value here. But anyway, if you're looking at now, you hate to take the shorter odds and the favorites.
Hey, Pat. From here on out, I just need you to direct the show. So you are in charge from here on out. You are the captain now.
Okay. I'm going to captain this ship. And I'm going to start off and say that, you know what? If I'm going to take a guy at shorter odds, it is going to be Brooks Koepka at 22-1. I like it. This is my show now, DB. You can do whatever you want. You can laugh, but that's like, you can chime in when you're.
You die in the end. You die in the end of the. You are the captain that dies in the end of the movie.
Okay, that's fine. But right now, I'm just letting you know.
You're playing the role of dead captain at the end.
And I'm not going to take all guys that we talked about either on the show as far as DFS picks. The next guy that none of us mentioned on the show that I think is a good bet of us two.
I feel like when you say us, like
you're looking around for like, who was the other Tour Junkie I didn't know
Ben
about?
Here?
Is Siwoo Kim at 55
Hell
to 1.
Yeah.
Siwoo is a great bet this week at 55.
He's always a great bet. Well, it's on Bermuda. You can't bet Siwoo on Bermuda. That's a terrible bet.
I don't care. I love him this week. Cam Davis, we mentioned 75 to 1 in the DraftKings Sportsbook is an incredible bet. Denny McCarthy at 90 to 1.
Hold on a second.
I'm running the show.
I got to interrupt. Siwoo Kim, when you look at his betting splits, his putting splits. Okay, when you look at his putting splits on Fantasy National between the three different surfaces, Bent, Bermuda, and POA. You know that meme that's gone around? It's actually already kind of run its course, but of the large black fellow that actually I heard is deceased, but he has a picture. He has no shirt on, and the real picture has his enormous wiener hanging.
Okay, that has been going around since like COVID started forever.
Yes, that one. Yes, that's the one. Siwoo's splits in putting look like that on Fantasy National because Bermuda is in the middle, and there's the line that's like tour average, and then the Bermuda line for Siwoo was like 6 feet long. And then
he won the damn Players Championship on Bermuda.
And then the bent and the POA flank this in the middle. They flank it like nuts. And the bent is like kind of down a little bit, and the POA is like a little sucked up. So like one's bigger than the other. Like bent's a little worse than POA, but Bermuda is like way down there, like that guy's wiener.
Either way, Siwoo is a guy that
sucks on Bermuda, but he won the Players, man. How about that?
Kill your DFS lineups, but he can also pop, and I think and win you all the money because he can win a tournament. Like it's like all or nothing with this.
I love Siwoo. You can't talk me out of betting Siwoo.
So
if he's over 50 to 1, you can guarantee you I will have at least an Abraham Lincoln on Siwoo.
Yeah. So there you go. And then I'm going to go a little bit longer here with a guy I did mention on the pod, Sam Burns at 100 to 1. I like Harry Higgs at 150 to 1. Why not? Harry Higgs is a guy that's been playing pretty well lately. I think he's a good bet. Austin Cook, another one, 160 to 1.
Harry Higgs, Texas boy. Boy.
Texas
SMU.
boy, TCU or SMU. SMU. So
there
you go.
Best golfer to ever come out of SMU, Harry Higgs.
You're putting that over. Wait, no. Bryson played for TCU. See, I get the TCUs and the SMUs of the world mixed up,
Bryson
and they're literally
Harry,
like right next to each other. I think
Bryson and Harry Higgs both played for SMU.
Okay,
SMU. I don't know a golfer that played for TCU.
There's some pros that have played for
John
TCU.
Peterson.
No,
he played for LSU. His wife.
There are a lot of U's, but that's anyway. Go. All right. I'm running the ship here. DB, I'd like your plays, please, if you don't mind. Any outright matchups or top 20s that you would like to mention?
I don't see any matchup. Are matchups out yet?
They are, but
I might take a gander at those. All right, outrights. I got to start with a guy I didn't mention because I think there's too many players in the 8K. Doc Redman at 60-1. Now, Doc has had 2 really crappy Sundays at golf tournaments that he could have won. He had a crappy Sunday this past week at the Bermuda, and he had a crappy Sunday the week that I had him at 150-1 at like the Wyndham. Was it that freaking Jim Herman?
Yeah, that was crazy.
He's had 2 tough Sundays, but I think he's learning from the Sundays, and I hope he gets it together. But he's at 60-1. I like that number. Cam Davis at 75-1. I have to take Cam Davis, the Australian languid swinging bomber that eats par 5s for breakfast on a course with 5 par 5s if he makes the cut, which he will. Because if he doesn't, I'm making a Molotov cocktail out of this here glass, and I'm going to throw it in somebody's window. He will play 20. That is 5 times 4. 20 par 5s this week. Love that for Cam Davis. He's at 75-1. I did mention this fella on the podcast. He's an Aussie, another Aussie, lives in Texas. Matthew Jones, whose wife may or may not be worth you looking up. Hits it well, finished 4th last week. Good par 5 score, good ball striker, good in the wind, good if it ain't windy. That's some hard-hitting analysis. I think one of the best values on DraftKings. By the way, Matt Jones, the one player that currently, as of late Monday night, has better odds on PointsBet than he does on DraftKings. He's 100-1 on PointsBet, which we have promo codes for. Either TJ250, TJBet, or TJ Points gets you some bonus stuff on PointsBet if you're in a legal state. Can't believe I remember that. I think one of the best values on DK right now is Sepp Straka, who's been playing well, hits the ball a long way, eats up par 5s. He's 110-1. Really like Sepp Straka. My boy in the large visor who played collegiate golf, if you will, in Texas, Bo Hostler at 160-1. Can putt the eyes out of it, gain strokes off the tee, gain strokes around the green, does well on Bermuda, just has to hit the irons okay. If he just does that, he could win this golf tournament 160-1. It's a long shot season. Although this is a strong field, there is potential for a breakout such as that. I got a couple top 10s and top 20s. You want to hear them?
Yes, I would like to hear them.
Top 20s. I like Sepp. I just talked about him. 4.5-1. Now, that's kind of short for me, okay? But it's a top 20. It's a top 20. He's been playing a good bit. Not playing the Masters next week, which I actually like. I think he's focused on the Houston. He's focused on this golf tournament. He needs the points. 4.5-1 is a top 20. And you mentioned this fella in the DFS portion of the show, Robbie Shelton at 8-1 as a top 20. I also like really good iron player, good ball striker, in good form right now. Alabama product, really solid golfer, has played well this season. Robbie Shelton is at 8-1. Those are my top 20s, and I have 2 top 10 bets. One of them is my boy Bo Hostler, who I just talked about in the large visor at 12-1, top 10. But another one is a guy that I have been smitten with in the past. And last week, a couple people in the Nut Hut asked me about this fella. A couple people asked me about it. You drew a comparison to this man that has now given him a nickname within the Nut Hut called Taco Supreme. His nickname is now Taco Supreme. His name is Will Gordon. That is his birth name, his given name, the name on his birth certificate. It is not Taco Supreme. But you, however, have compared him to a Taco Supreme. Now, what Will Gordon is good at is probably hooking up with chicks on the road on the PGA Tour and scoring on par fives and hitting it a effing mile, okay? Remember, 5 par fives on this golf course. He is at 16-1 as a top 10. This is a big boy field. Big boy field, a lot of big names. Not likely that Will Gordon finishes top 10, but if you were going to put a little bit of a unit on a top 10 bet, I think Will Gordon is the one. And I think, Pat, you should wrap up the betting portion by telling us why you gave Will Gordon the nickname Taco Supreme.
All right, so yeah, Taco Supreme. This is one of my better. I'm pretty good at analogies.
You're amazing at analogies. I was just thinking the other day how good you are at analogies.
It's kind of a secret gift of mine. And Will Gordon is like a Taco Supreme. And let's be specific here, a Taco Supreme from Taco Bell. So Taco Bell is a kind of place where you go to where, like, you know, it's like an every 60 to 90 days thing for me. So, like, I want to, like, every so often I get to Taco Bell and I'm like, I want some Taco Bell.
Every 60 to 90 days, yes.
I'm taking a big risk in, you know, how that Taco Bell is going to affect my system, okay? My whole bowel system.
You're 43.
My gastroenterology system. And so if, you know, for the most part, when I have a Taco Supreme, it's not going to affect me in a positive way, okay? But I still like how it goes down, and it tastes so good. I mean, it tastes really good going down. But then we don't know what's going to happen afterwards. So Will Gordon, to me, is a guy that, like, he's like a Taco Supreme. Like, he looks good. He feels good. Like, everything feels right about him. But then he could completely destroy your system, the whole system.
Yeah.
And you get just screwed. And now sometimes it may it may work out, but for me, more often than not, it doesn't.
Yeah.
But when I say about the 60 to 90 day thing, and that may not have to do with Will Gordon, but it's like I forget about how bad the Taco Supreme affected me, and then I go back to it again within 60 to 90 days, and it does the same thing again, which is kind of like Will Gordon. Like, you just, like, you forgot, like, you were remembering.
Bless God, baby.
You were remembering how he made you feel good for a few rounds, you know, early on in the season, but then you forgot what happened afterwards. So you made a mistake and you went back and you got some more of them. And that's the problem with Will Gordon, and that's the why he's the Taco Supreme right there. I mean, that's
damn.
And it's stuck. The Nut Hut, like, nobody in the Nut Hut says Will Gordon anymore. They just say Taco Supreme.
Yeah, man. All right, well, R.I.P. Will.
All
right, man. I think,
but I'm heading the show here, so I'm gonna close this show up.
Okay.
DB, you got any other thoughts? Last minute thoughts here before we close it out?
No, I am bordering on drunk.
Okay, well, I'm done myself. We're going to be recording the DraftKings After Dark show after we finish here and we get everything downloaded, and I'm going to be editing everything. And after I get done editing all of this stuff, then we will be doing the DK show. So make sure you're paying attention to that DraftKings After Dark show, because I have a feeling it's going to be lit tonight.
On YouTube.
DB, if you don't have any final thoughts, I will let you close us out.
Thanks for listening to the Tour Junkies podcast. And next week, or pretty soon, we're going to have some Masters stuff. It's going to be really good. Way better than any of that other mess you listen to. And if you're thinking in your head about what it is that you listen to, it's mess. That's what it is.
But next week's going to be the shit.
Our stuff is good. Their stuff is a mess. And you know who I'm talking about when I say their. All right. Mary Screensby Green. See ya!